Clip all this out. I always say
right.
I'll clip all this out. All right. Welcome to the Dad's Group Chat Podcast. I am your host. They call me G, and today we have a guest on the podcast. He goes by Alex. He's the creator of the Villahiker brand. Alex, how you been, man?
Good. Nice to be here.
Good to see you, bro. We've known each other damn near our whole lives. We connected.
Right.
We reconnected recently, and we said, you know what, we gotta do one together. You have a brand in hiking that we want to talk about, we want to discuss, and plus we need to catch up. How you been? How's everything? How's life treating you?
I can't be treated any better than what I have. Totally blessed. So I'm very thankful for that.
There you go. Same here, bro. Same here. So let's get into your passion at the moment. But before we do that, I just want to know what got you into it in the first place.
I've been doing marketing for some time now. I come from a filmmaking camera background.
Yeah.
The place that I work at, my boss, the president at Mesco, he gave me a lot of leeway, to experiment with the e-commerce and the social media and all kinds of different marketing forms.
Right.
So I'm very thankful for that, for the opportunity that he gave me at the time to really explore and learn a lot of different things.
Right.
Because of that, I was able to find my passion, within the mix of e-commerce and marketing, which led me to the path that I am today. Okay. So, I look back to that, very thankful for all my years there because of that.
Okay. So, just to get into it a little bit deeper, because yes, you're in the clothing business right now. You're an entrepreneur in that stance. What about hiking attracted you? What got you into that specifically, into that niche market?
Something from very early, like it always caught my attention. So when I was at Misco, the president, who's like a father to me there, Maurice, he called me into his office one day, and he says, I got this guy named Jason Ashman who lives out in Utah, and he wants to do some kind of hiking trip, whatever it is. So he wants to do some kind of marketing with us. So give him a call. Let's see what it's all about.
Right.
We call him. Very nice guy, met him through Zoom call. He says, I'm going to do a hiking. I'm going to do the Pacific Crest Trail that goes from Canada all the way down to Mexico. Ooh. I was like, whoa, this guy's like deep into the hiking, like that's interesting. Like what's going on here?
Wow.
It's like, yeah, I need chargers. I need this. I need that. I was like, okay, because out there, you're out, you're
out
woods.
in the open.
There's no power,
Yeah.
So we supply the power for him, the batteries, the chargers, everything else that he needed to get out there. And as he went through the trail, he started sending me pictures and videos of, I'm going through Colorado, I'm going through the Rockies, I'm going through this, through that. And I was looking at the pictures and videos, and I was posting them on our social media.
Right.
And little by little, I was like, wow, like that's so inspirational that somebody would just take off and do that, That's awesome.
That's definitely, yeah.
So that's kind of where that came from in a way. And then right after that, the pandemic hit, right? And now you can't go outside, you can't do this, you can't do that. So the only thing that we had at that time, my wife and I, was just to like go to the park, right? Just walk in the park. So we drove around to the park, and then we went to another park and another park. And then at some point it came up, why don't we just go hiking somewhere like a mile, 2 miles, something like that,
Yeah.
And then we started experimenting with just going to different state parks, like Cheesequake State Park, the Appalachian Trail, and so forth. And then being the marketing type of person I always been, in the back of my mind, I was like, well, maybe there's something here. Maybe we could build something. I always wanted to build my own brand, like my own vision somehow.
Right.
So I started little by little working on that. And all the inspiration, all the ideas came from walking the trails. Like my wife was being like my right-hand man, like my partner.
Right.
I go out there and I just have her sick to death with different ideas. What about if I do this? What about if I do that?
Right.
It's like, well, that sounds good. That one doesn't sound good. This is good. That's not good. I was like, well, you're right or you're not right. You know. So a lot of the stuff came through the trails, and then I go home, and then the very next morning I wake up I'm a very early morning person. So the entire brand, the ideas came from walking the trails.
Right.
And then the brand was built from, I would say, from 4:30 a.m. to like 8:30 a.m. right before I went into my 9 a.m. job.
Right.
So I did that for almost 2 years straight.
Right. Right.
The early morning, working on the brand, building the website, trying to figure it out, how can it be designed, how does it look,
Right.
all that stuff.
The colors, everything kind of like has to make sense.
Correct. That was an intense process, but I don't look at it like that because I was just like in love with it.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
I was so into it, and that I didn't think about, oh, it's hideous or this or that. Just I wake up. I couldn't wait to wake up at 4
Right.
a.m. and just get back at it.
Right. Right. And then, it's crazy because you're in nature. It's you, your wife, and nature.
Right.
It's nothing but silence. Probably hearing the leaves blow. Everything is a sound. You're connecting with nature, and that's probably what you needed to do to zero in on the brand idea, and from there it developed. I'm guessing, right? So, speak to me about the logo itself. By the way, I have a sweater right now. Villahiker. Go to villahiker.com and get this. Thank you for the sweater. But in terms of the logo and the name, where did those two things connect for you?
So, so the idea of Villahiker evolved, right? When I first built it, I wanted to. My vision was to do something in the activewear clothing, for women. And at that time, it's called Villamelon.
Okay.
And which is like it's like a Spanish / like Mexican term.
Right.
My wife's father used to use back in his day, and I was like, "What does that mean?" And he's like, "Oh, it means somebody who sells out."
Right.
Oh, look at this Villamelon guy, or like that's what they say down there, like
Okay.
Villamelon, like
Yeah.
oh, this sell out. I was like, well, I think it's very funny. I'm gonna use that. So it was just to really sell to women as an activewear. And then I was like, wait, it doesn't represent me. I'm not a woman, and I don't mean it in a bad way. I'm not a woman, and I probably don't ever wear activewear.
Right.
So what can I do to keep that essence and have something that represents me and a core group of people? So that's just okay. Let's change it to how can I include the word hiking in there, right? So I started doing research of how Google reads your website, right?
Interesting.
One of the key things that Google does is read keywords, right? It's all about keyword.
Right.
So something hiker something or something hiker, it's like, oh, this person is either a hiker or related to something hiker related, right? Hiking related. So I said, okay, let me keep the name Villa, because in general, the term Villa is like a community of people, a small village type of thing.
Right.
So this is kind of like a niche, small community of hikers. So that's where Villahiker came into it.
Nice. And then the logo itself is pretty cool. Was that a whole entire process in itself? Was this the original thought, or did you tweak it along the way?
It was actually very minor tweak. I knew for some reason the yellow color kept calling out at me.
Yeah.
I always wanted to do something with the color yellow.
Yeah.
In general, the color yellow has like a lot of positive energy.
Right.
It's like a positive affirmation type of color. So I really wanted to represent that. So I kept the yellow for sure.
Yeah.
And then as I was designing, I went to a website called Wix. My entire website and the logo was built on Wix.
Right.
Which is the main platform that I use to develop.
Okay.
So I designed the logo there, and I needed to include the hiking guy somehow.
Right.
So that's when the idea of taking the I out, removing the I, and putting the hiking guy in there
Right.
came about. And I wanted to make it very like youthful, like very something for young people to get into hiking, because the audience in general for hikers is older. And I wanted to kind of unite the older generation with our generation into something that is a very positive atmosphere.
I was going to ask you, that was my next question, because, about the targeted audience for the brand. And it's great that you're kind of like meshing, the younger with the more mature. because in general, people do kind of see it that way. But to be honest, I've never gone hiking. I've always wanted to. It always kind of like piqued my interest because I know that it's kind of like a peaceful journey. You're going, to kind of like relax, breathe. Probably it's therapeutic. For you at this point, it must be therapeutic. But back to my original question, I was going to ask about the targeted audience because you mentioned activewear as well. And I get it. Hiking there's an activity that you're doing. Speak a little bit more about the targeted audience specifically. What does that look like to you moving forward at this point?
When you go through the website and you think about the brand in general, I mean, people come from all walks of life. So having something that is like either comfortable for you, it just relates to anybody that's out there. Everybody loves going either in nature or
Right.
camping, hiking. Like everybody wants to find ways to relax, or going to the beach. The brand in general is a lifestyle outdoor brand.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. There are many different outdoor activities you could do.
Right. Right.
And this is just one part of that. And it right now it focuses on one particular community,
Right.
but it doesn't mean, somebody else from a different path could come in and do something, which is why when you go through it, you don't see a lot of like older crowd in the,
Right.
on the website, because the older crowd is going to come because of the activity that the website is focused on. But
Right.
when you go through the website and you see younger people using the clothing to kind of combine that.
Right. Right. So what really do you believe that's what sets Villahiker apart from other outdoor brands in a sense?
Actually, not at all. The biggest thing that separates the brand is the fact that we are not actually focused on selling you a sweater. Like, yes, it's very nice, high quality, which we really want to do. But my biggest thing is to teach and educate.
Right. Right.
About health, right? You go through the site, you go through the bloggings. There's music, there's sound healing in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of different things to help you just get healthier. My biggest thing is for you to come in, educate yourself, and be healthier, and elevate your conscious and your frequency. To be to pass that forward, that positivity to everybody else around you. And buying a sweater to me is secondary.
Right.
If you told me, I went to your site, I didn't buy anything from you, but I learned about this and that. To me, it's more valuable.
Right.
Than you buying a sweater from me. But you could buy a sweater from anybody. It doesn't matter.
That is very true.
So I could care less. I want to be able to educate people.
That is great. That is definitely a great kind of like viewpoint, a checkoff box, because you're becoming more relatable with the person that went in there to learn, and they'll come back and learn something else, and at that point they're a customer either way.
Right.
Right. Have you ever? I know that. Have you ever considered going international with the brand, or is it like a U.S. brand at this moment?
Right now, it's a U.S. brand.
Okay.
I haven't really thought about the international part yet, because right now it's focused on growing in the U.S. market.
Right.
More than anything, I know omni-channel when it comes to e-commerce, omni-channel is the big thing. But you want to expand to different markets. It's very necessary, and I think a platform like Amazon, for example, will help me do that eventually.
Right.
Which is in the plans.
Right.
I'm just not at that stage of the plans yet.
When I hear about the brand and the story behind it, right? It kind of like gives me a hint of what the future of the brand is. I know right now it's pretty much clothing for those who go hiking and all that good stuff. But do you see? I see potential. I see battery chargers, tents. Do you plan on expanding to other products outside of what you're currently selling at the brand?
We already have it planned out.
Okay.
It's already planned.
There you go.
It's part of it. It's just been a process of really building the message and the identity of the brand as a step one.
Right.
Step two now is bringing in clothing that represents that community.
Right.
Step three will be, which is starting for next year and over, to expand on chargers, tents, hiking sticks, and so forth.
Right.
Which we actually did had about 6 to 7 months ago. We actually had that on the site.
Right.
And we specifically took it out because it didn't serve the purpose of the brand at that point in time.
Right.
So we moved it to a further step down the road, but it's already been in the map, planned out, part of our strategy for at least a year now.
Right. You know, again, I'm going back to your story, right? Tell me a little bit about what advice would you give an up and coming clothing entrepreneur, right? Because it sounds like you fell in love with the idea by doing something, and then it became like your vision became clear, right? And you pursued it. How much time did it take between you kind of like figuring it out to actually being full blown involved in the brand? And then the second question to that is, what advice would you give an up and coming entrepreneur that was in your shoes at once?
Oh, you know what? I go by one rule, which is called the 3P rule: patience, prayer, persistence. Right? You go by that.
Yeah.
My firm belief is that no idea is a bad idea. If you have an idea, it could be the worst idea ever thought of,
Yeah.
but you believe it's the best idea, and you work on developing that idea
Yeah.
on a daily basis, weekly basis, or whatever you want to do, it will become a fantastic idea,
Yeah.
regardless. It's all about how much you believe.
Yeah.
And, on that, I tell you, a long time ago when I was like 15, 16 years old, I remember being at my aunt's house for like a summer, and I had like insomnia, whatever. I couldn't sleep properly. And my mother calls and says, "Oh, I just want to know how you're doing," or whatever. And I say, "Well, I can't sleep. I have like insomnia or something. I don't know what's going on."
Right.
She says, and I told her that maybe I'm coming out with the flu. I can't breathe properly in the evenings. I get congested. I don't know. And she says, "Oh, it's actually very simple. Just put some saliva on your nose
Right.
and go to sleep." I was like, "Mom, what do you mean?" She's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, just when you go to sleep, you put some saliva on your nose and go to sleep. You're able to breathe and sleep better."
Okay.
Okay, I'll try that.
Yeah.
I believed her. I went, in the evening came. I put saliva on my nose.
Yeah.
I went to sleep. That night, I slept like a baby.
Right.
Does putting saliva on your nose help you breathe better? It does not.
Of course not.
It does
Probably
not.
Yeah.
But I believed it would.
Right.
I believed the words that my mom told me. I
Right,
believed it would. And because I believed it, it worked.
Yeah. Kind of resonates with your earlier point about you believing in the brand, that it's in your head and it's
Yeah.
not out yet. It might be a terrible idea, but for you, it's kind of like your vision.
And that's where you have to look at it, and not compare to anybody else's brand or business.
Right.
Just do your own thing,
Yeah.
I look at it like, when I look at the brand, like I'm in love with what I'm creating, right?
Right.
When you start comparing it to other people, I look at it like you start comparing your wife to other guys' wives.
Wow.
Oh, my wife's okay, but if my wife had that, or my wife had that, oh, this guy's wife had this, maybe I could do that to my wife.
Right.
Like, no, this is yours. You're in love with yours, with your
Right.
vision, with your wife.
Yeah.
Make that one the prettiest one.
Right.
Stop comparing it to anything else.
That's a good point. That's a good point. As I was on your website, there was something in regards to sound healing. Dive into that a little bit, just for the listeners, so they can understand what that means and what that's about.
Now, this you could either believe, or there's a big conspiracy behind this. So I believe it was either like 1920s, 1930s. After that point, the way we develop music, what you hear on the radio, AM, FM,
Right.
was built in 432 hertz, right?
Right.
Which was more in tune with classical music at the time
Okay.
period. At some point in time, it was changed as we were getting ready for digital music. It was changed to 440 hertz because it was just easier to tune most of the instruments to that.
Right.
So the conspiracy behind that is that the way the planet spins at 8 hertz, which is more in tune with 432 hertz, which is more of a nature sound.
Right.
It's tuned to nature.
Okay.
440 hertz is tuned, it's like off tune. So think of our bodies like instruments, right? When you listen to music in 432 hertz, your body gets tuned into nature.
Right.
In 440, it does not.
Okay.
Right? So 432 hertz provides some kind of just mental release for you to feel just comfortable and relaxed.
Okay.
So that's the difference between the hertz and the frequencies in the music.
Right.
So it's all about health. See, that's what the reason why I want to teach people and educate them on that,
Right.
and the way you listen, right, and the way you just become just healthier and just getting more in tune with nature,
Right.
which is, and the reason why we put the sound healing in there is because it's something that extremely represents the brand and represents myself and my identity as well, and that positivity behind it.
Nice. You also spoke about e-commerce a little bit earlier. So what is your stance on the world of e-commerce today?
It's something that at this point in time cannot be ignored,
Right.
right? If you're not selling online, you might as well almost close down your business.
That is very true. That is very true.
It's what it is, right? Everybody's on their phone shopping.
100%.
It's just, so my whole thing, we even creating the brand was to always go online. One of the things when you work with retailers, specifically when you sell to retailers, you have a buyer, right? If you create a product, then you have to present it to a buyer. Then they have to agree on the price, on the features of the product, of the color, all those things, right? So in terms, they make a lot of decisions for you.
Right.
And that was one of the things that during my time, like at Misco, was a little always push back. Like,
Right.
I don't want them. I felt like my boss, the president, he created beautiful products, loved them, great quality.
Right.
And then all these people came, these buyers, oh, is it okay if we lower the quality a little bit so we can sell it for $5 less?
Right. Right.
Trying to find ways to make the profit and just
Right.
kills the brand, kills the quality
100%.
that you stand for. And I always stood against that. I was like, no, I want my product. This is the quality. This is the vision.
High
You
quality.
don't like it? That's fine. Go to another website. This is what we stand for.
100%. 100%. You mentioned something key. Everyone is on their phone. When I do these podcasts, I have to clip up the video, put it all over YouTube video shorts. Of course, the original video on YouTube. I got to go to TikTok. I got to go to Instagram, and just blast out the information to garner views, to then garner subscribers, to garner something else, right? Pretty soon I'll have some merch up there as well. I'm working on that. That's a vision for the next year. But that's definitely the truth. People are on their phone all the time, and a lot of people are figuring out or finding new brands in social media, and it's 100% right. You were speaking earlier also before we started recording about this, the story about the old man at Microsoft. Dive into that a little bit. Explain to the audience what that's about.
So there was this old man janitor working, not specifically at Microsoft, but let's just say a technology company, right?
Right.
And the CEO sends an email out and it says, well, moving forward, everybody that works here has to have a degree, regardless of what position it is. So he finally reached to the janitor. He says, well, I don't even have a computer. I don't know anything about technology.
Right.
I'm a janitor. All I do is clean.
Right.
What can I do? So human resources told them, unfortunately, we're going to have to let you go and hire this other janitor that knows how to use computers.
Right.
Because everybody here has to be technology. It's like, it's too bad. So, on the way home, it's like, how am I going to explain this to my wife now?
Right.
I'm unemployed. He only had like $10 in his pocket. And he sees this guy like selling fruit out there.
Right.
So he says, let me get some fruit. He bought some oranges. And then he walks. And then some other guy stops him on the way to his house. Like, oh, you're selling oranges? He's like, I guess, yeah. Well, how many you want? He's like, oh, I'll give you 20 or whatever.
Right.
He's like, oh, I had 10. Now I make an extra 10.
Right. Right.
No, so he went home with no oranges, but he went home with $20. And he told his wife, well, I'll be unemployed, this and that. I don't know what I'm going to do now. He's like, well, I could go out and sell fruit.
Right.
Figure out a way to do that, right?
Right.
So he went out, he figured out a way to start selling fruit on the corner. He started selling that for a while. Then he had like a little spot. And eventually he grew up to a supermarket, and the supermarket became a franchise.
Right.
And then he became a billionaire. So they asked him, like, wow, you did all of that and you did not know technology. Imagine if you knew technology, what you could have done.
Yeah.
And he said, I know exactly what I could have become if I learned technology. I would have been the greatest janitor at XYZ company.
Nice.
And not do anything else with my life.
So let's talk a little bit about my reggaeton video. You was the cameraman, the producer. I actually want the original files, by the way, because there's a video that's missing. It's on YouTube. Many of you may not know that I used to be a reggaeton artist. I had one song. If you were in the Bronx in the 90s, in the late 90s, matter of fact, not even in the Bronx. If you were in 167 in the Bronx and Morris, you knew the name. That time was interesting for me because, again, we were younger, right? So here I am figuring things out. I wanted to be a rapper, yada, 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 reggaeton artist. Had a little crew. I found out very quickly that was not the life for me. I let that go immediately. Like, as soon as I started putting in the work in the studio, working full time at a warehouse at that point, I was young. I was like, 19, 20? But it was too much. It was like too much sleepless nights. Had to go up, wake up, record. And I figured very quickly that was not my passion. I let that go. I think I went back to Afghanistan, came back, finished college, and then proceeded. And then this happened through another vision, I guess, right? Go ahead, you were saying?
But to give you credit on that, though, I do remember that it was like when you first started, it was we were hanging out in Queens and you were doing all these freestyles.
Oh, man.
And I thought they were awesome, by the way.
Yeah.
And then you come out with that song. I was like, okay, it's not bad. And there was a second song that you did after that. I just don't remember which one, the name of it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was 100% radio playable. I was like, wow, this is a big leap. I think this, and I remember saying to somebody, I don't remember when, like, this guy's with this type of talent, this guy could do something with this.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly was giving it 100% at that moment. And, I made my own beats. I had to learn that, right? And then, like, us knowing each other since kind of like very, very young in Corona and Queens, you was always around with a camera and figuring that lifestyle out, right? And I was like, hey, you know what? Let's put the two together. You be the producer on the camera. I'll be the rapper. Yeah. We went to the Bronx. We went to Queens. We drove around. There's a little documentary that I'm trying to figure out where it's at. But that was fun times, man, But looking back at it, looking at the younger me, because it's funny because the passion to rap never left me. I still write.
Yeah.
It's just that I don't do anything with it. I still make beats to this day. As a matter of fact, the beats behind all the podcast clips and everything, that's me. So I'm continuing the passion in a different kind of like, not so much in front of people's faces. I'm behind the scenes. But, my sister and I had a conversation the other day. She was like, yo, you've always been kind of like a creator in a sense because, you used to bombard me with lyrics and freestyles. And yes, I used to battle people on the block all the time. But, you always had that in you. So now you're in the podcasting thing and it's still, you're kind of like creating. So it's crazy. The creator never leaves you. But things change,
Everything relates, Everything comes full circle.
Yeah.
Same thing, for me, like when I started was with the videos.
Right.
Always with the camera in hand, taking videos, editing, all that. But I'm not making blockbuster Hollywood movies.
No.
Right. Yeah. But I ended up at a decent job that works making camera accessories. Right. And then I ended up making my own website and taking my own videos and pictures and designing stuff. So I always been creating in a form or another. Same as you have. Everything just connects.
Yeah, everything evolves into a whole new
thing.
new situation.
That's how it is.
That's the power of belief, right? And you wanted to talk a little bit about that, but that is the power of belief. You got to believe in yourself enough.
Yeah, but you know what? Going back a little bit just on your music and you know how that started. That was actually a college project I had to do.
Interesting.
It was a college project. My professor Betty Garcia, which I thought it was, and I'm mentioning her because she's a fantastic professor.
Yeah.
Very hard on the class, by the way, but she said, you guys have to go out and make a short film.
Nice.
And I was like, well, you know, I don't want to make a short film. I want to make music videos.
Right.
That's what attracted me. I want to make music videos. That's what I'm here for.
Right.
And she says, okay, go make a music video. And I was like, I know this guy who has this song. I think we could do a video with that.
Yeah, there you go.
And she's like, all right, play the song. I played the song in the class. And she's like, that sounds horrible, but let's see what you can do with that. I was like, what? I thought it sounds great. She's like, all right, go out there and make it happen. Give me the plan, what you're trying to do, and then go out there and make it. And then you got to edit it and then show us the final presentation and the class.
Right.
And then we'll grade you from there.
100%.
And that's how that came about.
Look at that.
Yeah. So went out there. We did the video with, you know, one of my, class friends.
Yeah.
I edited it. I thought, and that was the very first time I did a music video. That was the very first one.
Look at that. It was solid too. For the time,
yeah,
it was a solid video.
I thought it looked pretty decent.
Yeah.
Especially if you look at the video again at the very end, the black and white scene.
Yeah, the black and white scene.
I thought that really brought it home.
Yeah, it did.
You know?
It did.
And I presented and I was crazy proud. I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So my friend was like, wow, that looks awesome. And the teacher's like, I'm not convinced. And she says, you don't have a lot more. I was expecting a lot more girls dancing in the video.
There were a lot of girls dancing in the video.
But she was like, I was expecting more. Like Hype Williams type girls dancing on a boat almost naked.
Listen, man.
I was like, hey. She's like, when I think of reggaeton, I think of stuff like that. I was like, I know, but, we got to work within our budget.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I'm not convinced. So you have to let me know what kind of grade do you want.
Oh, A+, please.
I was like, I put all this work into it.
A+.
I deserve something. And she says, I'll give you a B.
Okay.
I was like, maybe a B+. She's like, no, I'll give you a solid B.
But you know what? We created. Right?
Yeah.
We created. That's the whole point. Like, here I am in one world creating my stuff. You're in your world creating your stuff. We happen to know each other very well. So we just said, let's combine the talents. For the time being, I can honestly say that was a solid video.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. And I'm going to put it up there sometime. You're going to see it soon. I'm not going to bombard you with that now. But,
I have a question for you.
Go ahead. What's up?
What was your name? Your artist name?
So the name, why are you doing this to me, man? Why are you doing this to me?
Talking about this.
The name was Locoto. And the name originated from my cousin in Dominican Republic. He was Locoto. We had a little crew in DR, and I was living there at the time. I was like 14, 15. Came back here, finished high school, but I still with the name. And, there was another name before Locoto. It was Loco Hugo. The guy in Bienvenido who takes off his thing.
I remember
that was the name before, and then I switched to Locoto. I had a little crew. And, it was just a catchy thing at the time. Reggaeton, I guess, it wasn't very young. It was not in the beginning of reggaeton, but it was like, Daddy Yankee was super on fire during that time. Tego, Don Omar. It was that time frame. Here I am coming up with my little song because I'm inspired. Like, I love it. I love the creative side of it. But that's where the name came from.
So you rapped about the streets?
That's the thing.
Or you was more like that love
So it was both.
rapper?
It was both. I had the lyrics for the girls. Why are you doing this to me? I had the lyrics for the girls. I had the rapper lyrics. I had the street lyrics. I had everything. The thing was that a couple of things happened during that time that kind of like disconnected me. Not only the studio stuff, where it was a lot, even in the streets, a lot of things were happening. And here I am rapping about the streets. And I was like, this is not me. Let me take a left turn. Because it could have, I saw it leading somewhere where it shouldn't lead into. Mm-hmm. And I was like, nah, you know, I'm not about that. Let me just focus on whatever I was focusing on. But I did a lot of reggaeton for the girls, a lot of, you know, I did it all. I lost all the files, of course. Somebody out there has a CD because I used to sell CDs out the trunk, baby. I used to sell CDs. But yeah, that's where the name came from. That's like the beginning and the end of that story. You know, could it have been something if I pursued it like 100%? Probably. You never know.
Hey, you have somebody
never
that
know.
said you had that second song.
Yeah, no. Listen, I connected with one of my guys. He's an artist too. I connected with him recently. He's active right now. He's younger. He's way younger. I met him working in the high school. It's kind of like when you meet people, right? And they're involved in the same thing you was before. He's active. His name is Graeme El Alma Secreta. So he has studios, everything. And I contacted him the other day, and I was like, yo, I need a studio. I got some shit to get off my chest. Because it's still therapeutic for me.
Hey, we need to record that.
But I'm not, we gonna see, you know, I don't know. But it all started with Alex. You know, it's like, yo, let's connect and let's put it out there.
Yeah, see, it's come full circle.
It comes full circle, yeah.
It's beautiful. If you notice on the video, there's a guy halfway through the video selling you your own CDs.
Yeah. You seen the video?
I seen part of it. You don't like to show it.
I'm gonna put it out, man. Listen, because I stopped liking to share it because it was like, this is not me anymore. But I looked at it the other day. I saved it. I'm on YouTube. I have it there. So I see it periodically now. And I hear it periodically. I'm like, yo, this is pretty fucking dope for the time being. You know what I'm saying?
We need the link.
But I'm going to put the link out, definitely. But, you know.
The lyrics were definitely ahead of its time.
Definitely.
You know, made your way.
I think. But that guy that I forget his name, the gentleman who was selling me my own DVD.
Yeah,
that was kind of like a thing that we thought about. Yo, let's put this funny intermediate thing in the middle. It was pretty cool, man. The video overall was cool.
Music videos at the time always used to have stuff like that. Yeah. Either at the beginning, a little intro story, or at the end, or in the middle.
Yeah.
But like, how can we do something like that? It's like just kind of like make a
little skit. It was funny. Yeah. I'm gonna put the video. Y'all gonna see it soon. Don't worry. Before the year's up, I'm gonna put the link up.
Oh, you need to put the link below.
I'm gonna put the link. I'm gonna put the link. You're gonna see the link somewhere in my link tree. Alex, thank you so much for joining the Das Group Chat podcast today. It was a pleasure having you. It was a pleasure connecting with you. One final thing: where can the listeners connect with your brand? Where can they connect with you and learn more about Villahiker and explore that world?
Definitely, if you check Villahiker.com, that is the spot to go and educate yourself on a lot of different topics. There's a lot of interesting topics there for you to go in and read and just learn a few things. And when you add it, you know, shop for everything you like. Just the best of both worlds, you know, shop and learn. It cannot get any better than that. Again, Villahiker.com.
There you have it. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Please share, like, subscribe. Go to YouTube and subscribe. Follow the pages. We out. Peace.